So, if you've been struggling to stay consistent with your exercise program, I want you to know, first of all, that you're not alone, you're not lazy, you're not indisciplined, you're not broken, there's nothing wrong with you. This is absolutely normal. So, especially if you're postmenopausal, you're over 50, and you've been stopping and starting different exercise routines. Every Monday, you feel like you're trying a new exercise routine, or you're going to a new gym, or you're starting a new program that you feel like this is going to be it, this is going to work. And you're all gung ho in the beginning. And after 2 weeks, you stop. I want you to know that totally normal. You're not alone. So I'm going to talk about why exercise or sticking to an exercise program once you're over 50 or maybe even over 40 is so difficult. And I'm going to give you some tips, some guidance to help you to be more consistent. So first of all, if you're over 40 or over 50 in perimenopause, in postmenopause, you're probably dealing with menopause symptoms. You're tired. You got joint aches and pains going on. You might have some brain fog going on. You have responsibilities. You have work. You have your parents. You have your kids. You have a whole lot of stuff going on. You're trying to squeeze in some time for self-care. You're trying to take care of yourself on top of everything else. So being postmenopausal just adds a whole nother level of difficulty onto what you're trying to do for yourself, onto your self-care routine or your self-care efforts. So firstly, starting any kind of new habit is hard. Even if you're not in your 40s and 50s, starting a new habit, being consistent with exercise and self-care is challenging. So I'm going to talk a little bit today about some tips as well to help you to start a new habit. Maybe exercise is not part of your life. Maybe you've never really exercised before, or maybe you've just fallen off the wagon and it's been a while, or maybe you're starting and stopping. So as I said, if you're postmenopausal, life just feels harder. Life just feels harder. So the other problem I see a lot with why it's so difficult for us women over 40 or 50 to stick to a exercise routine is that a lot of times we just try and do too much. We're already loaded down with responsibilities. We already got so much other stuff going on. And we start out with a new exercise routine that really just, quite frankly, just does not fit into our real life. We're a little bit over ambitious. We're going to work out 3-4 times a week, or we are going to, we're going to go to the gym every day, or we're going to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and do a home workout. Sometimes we just start out a little bit too ambitious. We're trying to do too much, and it just doesn't fit our real life. So I'm going to jump right into what are some things that you can be doing. What are some tips that can help you to be more consistent, to stop the start, stop routine, or maybe to start exercising once and for all and stick to it when this has not really been, when this has been a challenge for you before. So the first thing I want you to remember, the first super important thing is that you've got to remind yourself constantly why you are doing this. Why is it important to exercise? Why are you really, challenging yourself to take care of yourself? It's for yourself. It's for your family. It's for your grandkids. It's for you to be able to live independently, happy, healthy, and pain-free, especially pain-free into your 60s, your 70s, your 80s, your 90s. So many people now are living into their 80s and 90s. But we want to be living healthy, happy, and pain-free. We want to be living independently. We want to be able to be doing as much as we can possibly be doing for ourselves. And the only way to do that is to start now when you're in your 50s and 60s to get strong, to stay flexible and mobile. So that's the first thing. Constantly remind yourself about why you're doing what you're doing. And it is pouring rain here in Kingston, Jamaica. So I hope you can hear me over the rain. So you can let me know if you are hearing me okay or if the rain is totally drowning me out. All right. So the next thing I want you to do, after you remind yourself why you are doing this, I want you to choose one small thing you're going to focus on. So one small exercise goal. So it could be you're going to walk for 5 minutes once a week. You're going to do one yoga pose. You're going to do 10 squats, twice a week. Just choose one thing. So many times I see women starting off with these big plans to work out several times a week for an hour, do yoga, run, walk, do all this stuff. But as I said, it quite frankly, it's just too much. It's just too much to get done. It's overwhelming. You start for a week or two and then you burn out. You skip some workouts. You start to feel guilty. And then you just don't bother to get back on the wagon, or it takes you a while. You start again, something totally different. So I want you to just choose one small thing that you can do sustainably and seriously make it something super small. Make it something that you can literally do in 2 minutes or even 1 minute. We're talking about creating a new habit, which takes time, and it takes a while before you actually see the results of your efforts. So for me, I know when I was trying to start a yoga practice for myself in the mornings, I tried for a long time. I was going to get up and I was going to do half an hour of yoga every morning, and it just would never happen. It would just honestly never happen. And the way that I got it to work was I said, okay, I'm going to choose one yoga pose. I'm going to do literally one yoga pose before I sit down to work every morning. And that's what I'm going to do. It's going to take me maybe 1 minute or less, and I'm going to just do one thing for a very short period of time. And guess what? It worked. It worked. I started with one yoga pose every morning. I just said, okay, before I sit down, I'm going to do one minute of yoga. And then it got into 2 minutes. And then I started to do 3 minutes or 4 poses. And then before you knew it, I was doing 5 minutes of yoga. That went on for a while. And then some days I did 2 minutes, and other days I did 1 minute. But the point is I was showing up for myself, and I was doing at least 1 minute to 5 minutes for a good amount of time. And then I just continued to add on a little bit until I was doing 10 minutes. And now I'm doing literally 20 minutes of movement every morning. I actually teach a 20-minute class every morning on Zoom at 8 o'clock as a result of me starting with one yoga pose. So the point here is, if you start with something small, you start with something super manageable, and you develop the habit of just showing up for yourself in some way that's not overwhelming, that you can manage, that you can fit into your life, before you know it, you will be doing something maybe a little bit more, maybe a little longer, maybe a little bit more intense, but you start and just focus on showing up and doing something small for yourself for a period of time until that becomes a habit, until that becomes almost like a no-brainer. So that is the second tip that I wanted to share. After knowing your why, is starting with something really small and just doing it as much as you can. The third thing that I find really helps and really helped me if you are working on consistency is to stack one habit onto an existing habit. So this is an idea that was first made popular by James Clear in his book, Atomic Habits. He talked about habit stacking, which is the idea that if every morning you drink your coffee and you have breakfast, you can simply say, after you drink your coffee and you have your breakfast, you are going to go for a 2-minute walk, literally 2 minutes after your morning coffee. Or if you say after work, you are going to, do 5 minutes of yoga, literally right after you finish working, or right after you finish, something else in your day that you do as a matter of course. Some other habit in your day that you always do, you're going to stack on this new habit onto your old habit. So it could be brushing your teeth. Yeah, every morning after you're done brushing your teeth, you're going to do 10 squats. Literally, you're stacking on your new habit onto your old habit. It just helps you to reinforce the idea that first you do your old habit and then you do your new habit, and you're tying the two of them together so that you don't so that you don't forget. So this idea of habit stacking, again, really worked for me. So give it a try. I think it can work for you too. Okay, so the next tip is to have your environment support whatever it is that you're trying to do. So if you're trying to go for a walk after lunch every day, it will help to maybe take out your shoes and put them by your front door. So one, it serves as a reminder for you that that's what you want to do. And it just makes it easier. It makes it easier. Your shoes are already by your front door. All you got to do, finish your lunch, put your shoes on, you're out the door, and you walk for a minute. Or you walk around your dining table, or you walk up and down your stairs, literally for 2 minutes. So that is an example of configuring your environment to support your new habit. It will help you to stay consistent by just making it easier for you to do what it is that you wanted to do. So in my case, I wanted to do yoga more often. I would have my yoga mat set out behind my desk, and it just made it easier for me to do what I wanted to do. The yoga mat was already there, and it was a reminder for me that that's what I was trying to do, and it just helped me to make it easier. So that is another tip, to configure your environment to help you to do what it is that you want to do. So let me check my notes here. Okay, next tip. It really helps to make it fun. It really helps to choose something that you know that you want to do, that you're going to enjoy. So if you like walking, walk. If you like gardening, garden. If you like swimming, go for a swim. If you like doing yoga, do yoga. So one of my key principles is, if you don't enjoy it, you're probably not going to do it very long. So you really want to make it fun. You want to make it something that you enjoy, and you're much more likely to be consistent at something that you enjoy doing than doing something that you really dislike or that it's a struggle for you to do. Remember, we're talking about doing something for a long time. It's just something that you want to make a life habit. So you got to make it fun. And quite frankly, you got to make it relatively easy for you to start. As I mentioned, you want to make it easy. You want to make it fun. Okay, 2 more tips. It really helps to have some accountability. It really helps to have somebody there to say, hey, it's 5 o'clock, time for us to go walk, Karin. Or have a trainer that is expecting you to show up. Or have some way for you to track your progress so that you can see for yourself how much progress that you're making. Because a lot of times when you exercise, you feel you're doing everything right, and you don't see the results right away. It's just, which can be demotivating if you're not seeing progress. But know that whatever you're doing, something is always better than nothing. The benefits of exercise are just too many to talk about right now. So just showing up for yourself is actually showing up for yourself and doing something is what it's all about. It's not about necessarily seeing the results immediately. Okay, so the last tip is to just not give up. Don't give up. So if you start and you're going good for a week or two, and then you stop for a day or two, don't think that just because you missed a workout or you didn't go for your walk today, or even if you stopped for a week, don't give up. Start again. Start again. It is always, every day is a new day. You can simply start again. Don't give up. So those are my main tips for you. So just to recap, if you are just joining us, to help you to stay consistent with your exercise. Number 1, know why you are doing it. Remind yourself why you're taking care of yourself so you can live happy, healthy, and pain-free for a long time to come. Number 2, you want to start with one goal, one small thing that you can do that you can sustainably fit into your life. So that's the second thing. Choose something small. Choose something that you can easily fit into your life. Don't go for, the maximum workout goal that you could possibly come up with. So we're not talking about, you're going to go to the gym for 5 days a week. Say if going to the gym is what you want to do, say you're going to try and go once or twice a week for half an hour. So just start with something manageable. Start with something small that you can manage. We talked about habit stacking, stacking your new habit onto your old habit. We talked about making it fun. We talked about making it easy. We talked about having support, getting somebody to help you, to be accountable to. We talked about having a tracking system, if that works for you. And lastly, we talked about the importance of not giving up. So don't give up. Even if you've stopped and started a million times, just start back again. All right. Hi, Anna. Welcome. Good to see you. I'm glad you're here. So tell me, Anna, do you have what particular thing about exercise do you find challenging? Is it time? I know so many women say they just don't have time. They're too exhausted. They just can't fit it into your life. But I would suggest and I would say to that, you've got to be able to find 5 minutes in your entire week where you can go for a walk. You can do 10 squats. You can do one yoga pose. You know, as I said, I teach a 20-minute class at 8 o'clock in the morning in Bloom, my online membership. Just try and start super small. Start with something that you can fit into your life in an easy, sustainable way. Time is a huge issue. You don't enjoy exercise. Okay, I get it. Okay, so I would say then, if you don't enjoy exercise, what type of movement do you enjoy? Do you enjoy walking? Walking is exercise. Do you like dancing? I have a client who literally turns on music and she dances around. She dances around her living room for 5 minutes. She just turns on some of her favorite songs and she dances around for 5 minutes, and that is her movement for the day. I tried to do the weekly yoga pose, but I do it one day and that's it. Well, yay for you, Anna. Yay. Doing one yoga pose, doing my yoga pose. That's awesome. Start there. Just do that. Start with doing it, once a week, and then maybe put a little sticky note on your computer that says, Karin's yoga pose, and maybe do it another day. So if you do it on Monday and then you do it on Wednesday, and then maybe, again on Friday, literally for 1 or 2 minutes. Try that. You're just basically adding on little tiny increments onto what you're already doing. And start with that, literally. And maybe you do that for a month or 2 months or 6 months. Maybe that's why you do for 6 months. But I'm going to challenge you. There's got to be some form of movement. It doesn't have to be exercise per se. There's got to be some form of movement that you don't mind doing, shall we say. You don't mind doing. So I hope this helps. Let me know if that is helpful to you. But I'm sure that if you think about it, there's some type of movement that you enjoy or that you don't dislike too intensely. So thank you for that question. That's awesome. Thank you for that question. All right. If there's not any other questions in the chat, hello, Paul. I have some questions here that I had. Okay, Anna says, I will do the increments. I keep trying the big stuff like walking. Yes, it does help. Right, so that's the point. When we try and start too big, too ambitious, that's when we run into problems. That's when we start to have a problem, when we say, we're going to do something that takes half an hour or an hour. Start smaller. Literally start smaller. If you want to walk, say you're going to walk around your dining table for a minute, or you're going to walk up and down your driveway for 2 minutes, at the end of the day. Literally, I know it sounds ridiculous, but seriously, if you start with tiny, tiny pieces and then just add on a little bit at a time, soon, I challenge you, you can let me know if I'm right, that in a month or 2 or 3, if you start with 1 minute now, you're probably going to be exercising for 5 minutes in a month, and maybe 10 minutes in 6 months, and maybe by next year this time you're doing half an hour. How about giving it a try? Give it a try and see if that works. Because I know time is a big constraint for a lot of women. I know energy is another big constraint. One of the questions I got is, what do I do if I'm just too exhausted to exercise? I'm just too tired. And it goes back to what I said before. Start smaller. Literally start smaller. Maybe when you first get out of bed, do 10 squats when you first get out of bed. You just brush your teeth, do 5 heel raises. Just come up and down on the balls of your feet. Just get in the habit of moving your body in whatever way you can in very small increments. Will do. Time, yes. Energy, yes, absolutely. Energy, time, big ones, big obstacles for us women in postmenopausal or over 40, shall I say. So give that a try, and then the other thing is you got to work with the energy of your body. So if you know that you're completely exhausted in the afternoon, there's no way you're going to do anything, or you're more of a morning person, then try and fit in your little bite-sized piece of exercise in the morning. So, if you have a little bit more energy in the morning, right when you wake up, try and do a little bit of something in the morning. And again, as I said, start with 1 minute or 2 minutes. It doesn't have to be more than that. I mean, eventually we would want it to be more than 1 minute, but start there. Work on the consistency of doing that, and then just add on as you go along. All right, let me answer 1 or 2 more questions. This one is it too late to get in shape after 50? Never too late. Never, ever too late. There have been people who have never done any exercise their entire life. They've never done any workouts. They've never been an athlete. They've never done any exercise in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. And they start in their 60s or 70s and they progress and they make huge progress and they get stronger and they get more flexible and they get more mobile. So it's never too late to start. I read a quote the other day that says, your muscles do not care how old you are. They only care that you've challenged them. So your muscles do not care how old you are. They only care that you have challenged them. So keep that in mind. Your muscles don't care how old you are. They just respond to your challenging them. So I hope that answers that question. Okay, next question. How often should I work out at this age? So, of course, that really depends on the person. I would say you want to be aiming for a couple times a week, 3-4 times a week. I think the guidelines are 150 minutes of moderate exercise. But it really depends if you've ever done any exercise before. It depends on your fitness level. It depends on how much time you have. It really depends on your life, what you can sustainably fit into your life. So my answer to that question would really be, what can you sustainably fit into your life? How much can you exercise sustainably? So it's not about, doing an intense amount of exercise for a week or 2 and then falling off and not doing anything for 3 months. Okay, we want to find a routine, find something that we can do sustainably for the rest of our life. I mean, you could change what you're doing, but you want to be able to be consistent. Consistency is much more important than intensity. So that is kind of the bottom line for this whole session. Consistency more important than intensity. All right, I will answer one more question. How do I deal with menopause weight gain? Always get questions about weight gain, and I would say yes, exercise is important when you're trying to manage your weight. But I always say start with looking at what you're eating. Start with looking at your diet, the foods that you're eating on a regular basis. But losing weight is I'm not going to say it's complicated, but it involves more than just exercise. It involves more than just your diet. It involves how much stress you're under. It can involve how much sleep you're getting, your hormones. Lots of things come into play when it comes to managing weight. So if you really are trying to lose weight, I always recommend to work with a qualified nutritionist who can help you to come up with a meal plan and an exercise plan that works for you. Well, the nutritionist can come up with the meal plan, and then somebody like me can help you with the exercise plan. So that's what I wanted to share today. If this has been useful, please remember to subscribe to my channel. If this has been helpful, please, subscribe to my channel. And I also have a newsletter, which when you sign up for, you get a weekly yoga pose that takes you no more than 2 minutes to do. So if you'd like to get me, if you'd like me to send you one yoga pose every Monday that you could do that takes no longer than 2 minutes, you could just sign up. I'll leave the link to my newsletter below. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for joining. Let me know if you have any other comments or questions. If you're listening to the replay, let me know if you have any questions, and I will do my best to answer. But remember, consistency, more important than intensity. Choose one thing, start small, and then take it from there. So have a great day, have a good evening, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.